What's going on, NIO fam? It is Laser here with another weekend video update. Sorry for missing the last couple of weeks. Life has gotten crazy busy. It still is busy, and I'm trying to squeeze this in here for my own sake. I enjoy making these videos, and I have to remind myself, even when life gets challenging, which they are right now, they're very challenging and tough for me right now. I'm dealing with some IRL in real life challenges that have just pretty much made me absent, not from just making these videos, but from just watching the charts and doing what I love the most. And I remind myself that even when you're in those moments, it's important to stop and do the things you absolutely love. And I absolutely love making these videos, which is why I'm back here again. Now, having said that, there's a couple things that you guys all need to know. It's been a couple weeks where I haven't really watched the chart and I haven't really done anything. So, I mean, like I haven't dropped in one of these analysis. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. And if you're new here, again, as I mentioned in all my videos, we try and drop one of these videos once per week, and I'm going to try and get back on my regular schedule, Saturday afternoon around noon. That's where I'm going to aim to kind of do that. I am very busy, so life's really challenging. I'm not comfortable really kind of disclosing or sharing what's going on with my life, but I can just share with you that things are just quite challenging and they're quite busy, but I love doing this, so I'm doing this to drop my analysis and my opinion. And as always, please do your own due diligence. Please do if you're making a big financial decision, please do your own research, your own due diligence. This is just my opinion, which has been wrong in the past. I'm just here to share what I see in the stock from a technical perspective. Not only from the chart, but we actually like to use our indicator and talk about where we see the stock going. And if you're going to actually stay tuned and you're going to watch the rest of my video, we'll do a quick dive into BABA. We will look into the Hang Seng Index, and we'll look at the Dixie. Those are the things that we often like to look at, and we'll leave it at that for now. And so where are we? I mean, like, I feel like I need to rewind myself over the last couple of weeks here. So this was this Friday, and the last time I would have done, I guess that was the previous Friday. And there we go. That would have been like the last time I would have made a video here, actually. I think that was it. And that's where we were. Let's see. Let's play this. You got a lower high followed by lower lows, actually, is what we got here. Now I can see it's actually catching a bid, which is actually, I mean, it's interesting. So, and I think I talked about this early on. Maybe some of you guys might remember this. Let's see if I can get it drawn out. I got to zoom in here. So there's liquidity down here. This setup right here is very unique, and it's made in such a way so that the stock price can return to these prices. And NIO, if you guys are new or you just don't really know that about NIO and the chart, it loves to just come back and test these things. And let's see. Did I have to use my magnet tool because it's not accurate. It's not going to work nice. And we're going to go ahead and extend that to the right. So you can see I tagged both of those right on the bottom of the wicks. Close the replay. Clear that out. I like a clean chart. And you can see it's upholding. It's upholding that original trajectory. And it's broken pretty much every other trajectory, which makes me believe, and when I say every other trajectory, like you can draw out some other support lines, be like, oh, look, it was holding that. And I mean, you could have even said like, maybe it was holding this a bit, but it seems like this is going to be where it's heading. From a broader perspective, let's take a peek here. Now that's bullish. Am I on regular? That is a very bullish looking. Did I draw that right, you guys? I haven't done this in a bit here. Let's take a look here. Okay, let's see here. That is bullish looking. This is a breakout. The reason I think it's bullish looking is what I'm looking at here is what are we looking at, you guys? We are looking at the initial breakout. Okay, I'll turn that tool off. That's the initial breakout, and I'll even type that so you guys can follow along here. Initial breakout. And you can see kind of it broke back under, and then again, yet another breakout. And so for those of you that are not new and you kind of know, how do we find like really good setups and how do we know when the bottom is in? Oftentimes setting 2 trend lines is really good. So if this was our peak, which was back in March, we can go ahead and label that 1. In the very, and maybe some of you guys don't remember this. So I'm going to just go back to the last setup here. So it makes a lot of sense, and especially for those of you that are kind of new here and you don't remember it. So we're going to go here. And we pretty much had this run here signaling like our first breakout. This was like our first breakout. And then what did we have? We ended up having this being our second trend line. And you can almost like see this thing just baseline. You can see that baseline there. Breakout, pullback, and then you get a nice move. So if we're trying to set up for something similar here, so I'm going to delete this so that it keeps our focus on the same thing. I only went left here to kind of illustrate how that theory works. So that's your 1. And I would argue that is your 2. Okay. It looks like a clean second trend line. Clean. So what you're wanting to watch for is you're wanting to watch for something like this. A clear breakout followed by a pullback, and then you get your move actually. Like that's kind of what I'd be looking for NIO, for continuation, for a bigger move up, and that's just like, that's what I see here. And so this is bullish. This tells me like, you know, the fact that it's the fact that now we've kind of broken out, it's now trying to build a base. This essentially is what I would call your pullback. It's in a pullback phase, okay? And we've seen it. We've seen it time and time again. And this, it was to the left as well, right? Like when you've when you get that first breakout, you kind of get a pullback. And usually big breakouts like this, they need time to consolidate. And I like to use the arrow tools because it really illustrates what's happening from a price perspective, right? You can see it kind of come back up. It's come back down. You know, next move is essentially, it's either going to, you know, give you that second trend line break, or it's going to maybe swing a little lower. Okay. And then you'll get, this is essentially, it's all one big coiling move. It's coiling for a bigger move actually is what I think is actually happening here. And this is like your second trend line. I don't think you're going to actually see like these big sweeps or big lows because number one, you've gotten this breakout, which is, I mean, that's fantastic. Now, there is a chance that, you know, a small chance that it may want to come all the way down into that trend line, further into the, you know, further along, you might get like a bigger drop. But I do believe what's going to happen, and this is just my opinion, you guys, is when things are ready to go, you will get that move up, followed by the pullback, followed by your big move, right? That's what we all want. We all want to see that big move on NIO. And if you've watched my last 2 weeks videos, I've been a big advocate of timing actually and cycles actually. And so now that 2 weeks have passed by, how much time has actually gone by since the top of this rally? So we are now essentially 72 days. Just 20 days or slightly 20 days shy of 3 months, 72 days. And remember, there was a statistic, if you guys don't remember the statistic, it was okay, so 100% of all reversals, 100% of them all took at least 3 months. And that's with the exception, and I'll zoom out. If you were to go back here and you look at the entire IPO history of NIO, every single one of these reversals took at least 3 months, with the only exception being this one. This was the only time it actually like reversed earlier than 3 months. And so I would call this kind of more of an anomaly. And that took place around day 70. I mean, that's kind of funny because we're kind of around day 70. So I don't think the setups are the same. They're definitely different setups. So that's one thing that kind of has me thinking like, okay, like is this thing gonna just like consolidate as I mentioned? Because we got the first breakout, which is the first trend line breakout right over here. Take a look. That's your first breakout. And what you're now getting, I like it on the 20. Is this what kind of time frame? 24-hour time frame. So it's going to be down, up. You know, it's coiling. You got that breakout. So this is kind of like essentially now, and you can see it broke under. So what it's doing, it's giving a retest here. And this retest looks legit. It looks like a solid retest. It's holding above the trend line here. You might get essentially another ride up higher. I would imagine if this is going to be bullish, it would ride right into that trend line. Maybe buyers take a breather. You get a mini pullback, and that starts your higher low, and potentially it starts forming this an inverted head and shoulders. Perhaps this is wishful thinking. I think I know NIO very, very much, and this would just be almost like way too easy, way too much, like not enough pain. The way NIO would work, in my opinion, is just bleed lower. Everyone gets pissed off. Everyone thinks the run's over. Bears kind of get very loud. And behind the scenes, something bigger is building. And I think you could even see one more run followed by a last drop here. This would be like a buy the dip. If this comes anywhere near these lows, 340, 330, that's going to be like a spectacular dip. But I also think it would be a move to try and shake out anybody, and also not just shake out anybody. It's a way for smart money to just buy it really cheap. You know, people always want to buy this cheap. The institutions always want to get in low, and obviously it was there one time before at 3. And it's NIO. It's going to get manipulated with a heavy retail stock. So that's a possibility. That's what I see in the chart. Now, if I were to look from a velocity standpoint of view, you guys, I'm going to just erase this. This is the speed and the movement here actually. So we obviously have like this trend line here. And you can see, you know, we haven't actually supported a move higher. It hasn't supported like that breakup yet. I imagine it will. It will. It actually will get that move up higher. I believe that's what's going to happen. But we could see a situation. And I look to the left here because to me, it looks so similar. And I have a hard time kind of looking away from this, how it looks so similar. If I had to compare these two stocks, like in two setups, okay, if we had this setup and then we had this setup, if you look specifically right over here, and I'm circling it so you guys can see very clearly, I believe that's kind of where we are right now in a very similar situation. So we maybe, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe there could be that still flush. I know I'll get my head ripped off for actually suggesting anything bearish for NIO, but given timing and, you know, we're not quite near the bottom, I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility that you might actually see that one big move. And I think what's going to happen here is you would see it kind of rise, and you can see it's already wanting to rise here. Actually, it's holding that low at 382. It's wanting to come back up. So I think what's going to happen, this is just what I'm going to go with here. If I had to guess, rise up, maybe one more. Don't rip my head off if I get this wrong, guys. I apologize. I'm not sure if that's right. Earnings, estimated earnings on the 3rd, but that's soon. You get that one big drop right over there. Comes right back up. Almost. Two more minutes. 2 more minutes, I promise. I'm almost done. I'm gonna take it away. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. All right. We're gonna try and wrap this up here, guys. I'm running short time here. Family always comes first, of course. So I still think this is a possibility, and I lean like this, not because I'm a bear or not because I want your investment to go lower. I lean like this simply because of the fact that like I know NIO runs on these cycles, and I know NIO tends to actually fool a lot of people, even myself actually. But if there's one thing that I can actually always go back on and rely on is the very reliable and like statistic that 100% of all the downtrends took minimum 3 months, sometimes 4 months. So having said that, where I would start looking to get a little bit more bullish is if you would get this break here. But even then, you want to wait for that pullback. And I would suspect as it bottoms, you're going to see more of this flatlining. You're going to see more of that flatlining take place. And I think that's when it'll be like, yeah, it's definitely bottomed. Actually, I think that's something to look out for. Again, that's just where I see things going so far for NIO. I know when I don't actually call for the moon and I'm not super bullish, people come at me and they attack me. But this is just my opinion. You don't like it? I mean, I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. I'm not here to, tell you NIO is going to the moon. I'm here to tell you where I see it going, which might be going to the moon, but not yet, although it does have promising signs. Having said that, I want to wrap up my analysis. Actually, I want to actually touch base on this 2-hour time frame here, because I think I talked about this before in an old video. I remember this. I kind of remember this. Maybe some of you guys remember this. Ooh, look at that. So it just barely broke. Just barely broke. We could be close to a bottom here. Now, notice how if I were to take a second trend line from that pivot, you can kind of be like, yeah, you can be very confident the bottom's in. And so if I were to do the same thing, and if you wanted to be super duper confident, I can almost draw that same line, which is a second trend line here. I'm zooming in here for you. Like if you guys want confluence, let's make this nice and accurate. Oh, it didn't even break it one time. I thought this broke. It didn't even give you one break. Okay, so let's go back and rewind a bit. So how did we find the bottom over here? From a velocity standpoint of view, you needed like it needed let's see, when did it break? Yeah, it needed to break. So we haven't gotten that yet, actually. So that also is like, well, guys, like, I mean, like, is the bottom in? I mean, like, it's getting lower. I mean, you're getting a decent price here, but I mean, it's always the $1 million question: is the bottom in? And if you don't want to take a chance and you're willing to actually give up a little bit of like getting the bottom tick, actually, you want to wait for that to break, actually. And I think I talked about that maybe in like my 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. This was another thing that I was watching for, and I wanted to see if this would break. And you can actually go back and you can probably find like multiple instances where you can actually find like this kind of working here for you. And essentially, and I'm not going to go far back because again, I want to wrap things up actually here. Quickly looking at Baba. Man, this is what I was actually originally thinking. Actually, is it would coil here, and it's actually doing surprisingly really good looking. Like I thought, like from here, I guess was like 2 weeks ago. I thought you would coil and then it would break. It hasn't done that. It pushed higher. $24 hours. That's bullish right there. Very, very bullish. Velocity break. First pullback. Looks good for Baba, actually. That's a really nice thing to look at for Baba. But again, you want to get that second. Could be fake out. And normally when I look at Baba, I do like to where was it? Forgot how I drew it originally. I'll have to come back to Baba, guys. I'm sorry. That's my current analysis so far with Baba. Like, I think it looks great. It looks way better than I thought it was going to do. Hang Seng Index. Okay. This is incredibly bullish looking. Right up to the 0.786. One solid big bounce move. And so if I were to actually just think, like, is it just squeezing back to the top of its channel? It might be. Yeah, I can see it going higher. Another 5-6% higher into 24, into 25. If you want to get those upper targets, needs to get up to like 28. I want to just illustrate and share one thing with you guys. Here's Bitcoin, by the way. Totally got that wrong. I was suggesting it would actually come down to 67. It didn't do it. But take a look where it is right now, by the way. The similarities between this and that are crazy. A lot of people are like, yep, it's going to 170, it's going to 180 Bitcoin. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but in order for them to actually be right on that, it needs to crack that like 113 level for Bitcoin for you to kind of see like that 160 or however long it takes, 165, 170. And as of right now, it's right at resistance. This is a major level here, where the last time you were at that level, you saw huge drops. We did Bitcoin just because I thought, oh, and I wanted to show you guys another chart here because I've shared this in the past before, and I'm looking at this chart actually. It was AMD. The 1 and the 2, how it gave you a second breakout, and it still gave you a deep pullback, and it pushed to the top of the channel here. We've now gotten 1 and we've gotten 2. And it's already starting a pullback, but I think potentially you can get a much deeper pullback here. It's a possibility that you can see a way deeper pullback. And I think AMD is going to $200. And I think it's a very safe like security. You know, it's a Mag 7 stock, and it's heavily discounted, and it has all the signs here, and it's in the process of, in my opinion, when you get like this big breakout, you're going to get that coiling. So obviously down, up, down, right? And then it's going to go. This thing is just it's not going to stop until it just keeps going. So I think there's going to be an incredible opportunity with AMD. Tesla's another thing. I don't know why I'm sharing Tesla here, but yeah, Tesla's an interesting spot too. Having said all that, we come all the way back to the SPY. Let's see here. I'm not even going to touch the SPY, honestly. This looks so messy. I was saying the top, I think 2 weeks ago was going to be around 590 potentially, and it did. It looks like that, and now it's starting like this pullback. How deep of a pullback? I mean, like let's wait and see. Let's wait and see where it happens. The Dixie has broken 1 and it's broken 2. And we're like right here, guys, on the Dixie, on the US dollar. And so it did hit almost 102 recently, and it came down to 98, 99, 98. I think the next move up is going to be you're going to get that big move up. I mean, at the very least, I think you'll see it retest 104, but I'm anticipating 110, like a big move up, actually. And I think it's starting, and we're going to see a big move soon on the US dollar. That's where I think. But that's it. That wraps up my video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video and you liked it, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. Once again, thank you so much for everybody who has been supporting me. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section below. I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. And if I can leave any kind of comments, in section. And my son here is saying, don't forget to subscribe to the video. Thanks, kiddo. And if I can leave one comment for everybody, guys, when life gets busy, make sure you spend a little bit of time doing the things you love and you enjoy. Make time to do that, no matter how busy it gets, because it's important you spend the time doing what you love and you enjoy. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend.
Have your best weekend ever.